Hello, my KG friends. This is Mrs. Henry. It's time for art. Today, we're going to talk about texture. Do you remember what texture is? Well, artists love to talk about colors, patterns, and textures. I know you know all about colors because you use colored pencils and crayons and chalk and paint, and we use them every time we come to art class. And I know you know how to draw lots of lines like zigzag lines and wavy lines, castle lines, scallop lines. You showed me in your last assignment that you know how to draw lines and patterns. But do you know about textures? We've talked about textures before. Texture is how something feels. Ew, look at that. What does that feel like? Is it slimy? Is it wet? Is it cold? Texture is how something feels. Let's look at some fun textures right here. The egg feels smooth. The bark feels rough. The bunny feels soft. The cactus feels sharp. The alligator feels bumpy. The honey feels sticky. The grass feels prickly. The frog eggs feel slimy. The tennis ball feels fuzzy. So you can use these words to describe how something feels. That is texture. But how can we draw textures? Let's think about that. How can you draw something to make it look sharp or pointy or prickly or slimy? Have you ever done a texture rubbing where you take a leaf and you put a piece of paper over the leaf, and then you take a crayon you use the crayon in a flat way and you rub it, and all of a sudden the leaf will appear on your paper. It's like magic. And once you do one, you want to do another one and another one because they're so pretty. Today, we're going to do some texture rubbings with things that you find. The materials that you're going to need is some paper, 2 pieces of white paper that you are going to fold in half and then half again and then again until you have 8 pieces, and then you take scissors and cut them out. Cut so that you will have 8 pieces from each paper. So altogether you will have 16 pieces of paper. You will also need some crayons or colored pencils. You're going to go around the house and you'll find things with textures. Look at some of the things that I found. Plastic baskets are a great way to get texture on your paper. Place the paper on top of the basket and rub gently with, well, I don't want to say gently because you're going to have to push down a little bit, but you push with either your pencil on the side or take a crayon and use a crayon on its flat side and look at the pretty designs that you will be able to make. These are some baskets I found in my house. They do a great job making patterns to show textures. Some other ones that I did. I found a jar that had some ridges on it. I even found my Chinese checker set. I put the paper right on top and I took a pencil and went right over it. Look at the pretty pattern, the circular pattern it makes. I used a basket. You'll see that some of the patterns don't come out so great. They're not as clear as other patterns, but they do make a good, it does make some kind of pattern, and it's okay if it doesn't look like it. Just keep going. Some will come out great, while others won't come out so great. You'll have your favorites. This was one of my favorites I found. It was a picture frame. Then I took apart, I had some recycled plastic. It was the bottom of a container that was all had ridges on it, and I cut it so it was flat, and then I went over it. Look, it looks like snake skin. Then I did the top of my watercolor set. I thought that looked really cool. It was like water. Look at the what I also found is my fan. And when I went over it, it made a really cool sound. But it also reminded me of a seashell. This was Mr. Mike's idea to do a pineapple. It didn't come out that great, but it still made a design. Everyone has a spoon like this at home. So look at the cool bumps it makes. Makes polka dot design. And I found a container that I keep all my spoons in, and I put it on the side and I rubbed it and it looked like my Chinese checkerboard. I kept going. I walked around the house with my pieces of paper. I got so excited about all the textures I was finding, and I found this one next to our sink. I did it on a angle like this and I got diagonal lines, and I did it straight up and down and I got horizontal lines. Look at all the patterns I collected around my house. That's not all. I still have more. I kept going and going and going. I found so many great patterns. I know you're going to have fun doing this assignment at home because you won't believe how many patterns you will find. First, go around and look for something that has a texture to it, and then bring your paper along and see what designs you have. Lay them all out like this. Take a picture so I can see them. And then put them all up in a rubber band or a paper clip because we're going to use them for our next art lesson next week. Okay? So have fun and make sure you keep them in a safe place so that you'll be able to use them for our next art project. I know you're going to have fun doing this because I did. I couldn't stop. See you later.